Hello there and welcome to Folk-a-Dilly Tales. Every week we will be here to tell you some crazy stories, some amazing poems accompanied by some fantastic songs. My name is John Hales and I will be your host. This week, the Legendary Twa Sisters. The tale of the Twa Sisters is a widely known narrative of murder that has been recounted in various renditions since the mid-17th century. One of the most famous versions is the Brothers Grimm's The Singing Bones. However, our version hails from Northumbria and revolves around a perplexing murder mystery involving two deeply affectionate sisters. They were inseparable until a charming young man arrived, intending to whisk away the younger sister. Consumed by jealousy and harbouring her own feelings for the young man, the older sister's fury reached its peak. She callously pushed her beloved sibling into the river, where she tragically drowned. Afterwards, the older sister nonchalantly returned home, feigning innocence. Regrettably, the older sister's longing for her lost sibling was so profound that she could never find happiness again. Every now and then, series of podcasts, we'll be offering you an alternative telling of a certain story or myth or fable. With this in mind, I'd like to introduce Dawn Nelson, a storyteller from Hampshire, who's going to tell you all about the Singing Bones.
Follow me to the River Benori.
You will wander past reed beds, ducks and swans, watermills, small villages and large towns. And eventually, just past the mountains, you will find a manor house. And there lives a widower and his two daughters. They are Rose and Maria. Rose is the older of the two. She has long dark hair and olive skin, beautiful brown eyes. She's a very handsome girl. Her younger sister, Maria, has long blonde flaxen hair and eyes as green as the meadows. She too is a beauty. These two sisters have grieved together for the loss of their mother. They have played together as they were growing up. They have laughed together. And they have kept the house together. But there is one thing that they cannot both do, and that is love the same man. And so it is, when a prince who has been out hunting requires shelter for the night, and their father allows them to stay at the manor house, the prince falls in love with Maria. Now, Maria is the younger and, well, it should really be the older one that marries first. But the father, he is not going to turn down the attention of a prince. If one of his daughters can marry well, then surely that is better than nothing. And so he encourages this courtship. The prince visits week after week. He spends many days walking in the meadows with Maria, and Maria too falls in love with the prince, and it is arranged that they will be married. Their wedding day is set. Rose and Maria are down by the banks of the Benori, and they're washing the cloth that will be used to make Maria's wedding dress. Maria is full of joy and the wonders of what she will experience when she reaches the palace. How wonderful it will be to have servants and her every wish looked after, and to marry a handsome prince and never to want for anything else ever again. And Rose, who too loves this prince and feels that it really should be her that is marrying him and not her younger upstart sister. Well, this jealousy has festered within her for weeks. She can't hear any more of this from Maria. And so she pushes her sister into the river. It is spring. The water is high and fast flowing, and it does not take long for Maria to be washed away down the stream. She desperately tries to pull her head above the water, screaming to her sister, "Help me, help me," thinking that her sister cannot have done this on purpose. But her sister stands there, albeit weeping. Her sister stands there and watches as Maria disappears under the water of the Benori. Rose rushes home to her father and tells him of the terrible accident that has befallen Maria. She's holding the soaking wet cloth, and she looks down at it and she says, "But father, let us not anger the prince. He can still have a match. I will marry him." He breaks the news to the prince, who is of course devastated, but he is not unaware of Rose's beauty. And he thinks this would be a good match as well. After all, her father is a nobleman. And so he agrees to this. And instead of Maria's dress being made from the cloth, Rose's dress is made from it. And they marry. And the two of them, Rose and the prince, they have a happy life together. They have 2 children, and eventually the prince becomes king and Rose his queen. Many years have passed when back down on the banks of Benori, a travelling musician who is out of work sits down on the chalky ground in order to eat his lunch. He sits there in the full sun of the day with the birds singing. He can hear the music of the world, and he longs to be able to play his music himself again for an audience who will willingly listen. He is eating his bread and cheese and drinking his small ale when he looks down beside him. And down there, down in the chalky, sandy soil, he sees something white that isn't chalk. And he pushes the soil away and the dust away, and he sees it is a rib bone. He pulls it out of the soil. One perfect, glistening, white rib bone. Must be that of a horse, he thinks, because when he looks further, he sees some flaxen yellow golden hair there too. He pushes the soil away from that and pulls out a clump. He thinks he can put what he thinks is horsehair, string it across the rib bone and create himself a harp, a bone harp. So he does this. He puts his lunch away and his small ale and he starts to string the bone. When he's finished, he wonders what sort of a sound it will make. And so he holds it up and starts to pluck the harp. And here is the sound that comes from it. My sister pushed me in the stream, Benori, oh Benori, and no one heard my dying screams, Benori, oh Benori. Wow, thinks the musician. This harp speaks and sings. This is a harp that will play music for a king, and I must take it to him immediately. He hurriedly packs any of his belongings that he's left on the side back into his bag, and he carries on and follows the path down past the Benori to the city, where Rose and her king rule. He knocks on the grand door of the palace. I have a harp for the king, a harp like no other, a harp that sings. Well, the guard doesn't believe him. He says, don't be ridiculous. The king's not going to be one to be bothered about silly things like that. You are clearly lying. Oh, I'm not. It sings, says the musician. And so, well, the guard thinks, it's been a bit of a slow day for him. This could be quite entertaining. And so he secures him an audience with the king. The musician goes into the grand hall where there on the 2 thrones are sat Rose the queen and her king. The king says, I hear you have a magical harp. Do play it for us. I will, sire. You will not believe what you hear. Here it is. And he holds up the bone harp with the hair strings and he starts to pluck.
My sister pushed me in the stream, Benori, oh Benori, but no one heard my dying screams, Benori, oh Benori.
Wow, says the king. That's amazing. Does it do anything else? I'm not sure. Let's see, sire. So again, he holds up the bone and hair harp and plays once more.
And there she sits beside the king, Benori, oh Benori, and never did she pay for her sins, Benori, oh Benori.
Rose's face is ashen. She knows that the harp speaks the truth, and now she remembers what she had done all of those years ago. In that king's land, there is only one thing that can happen to somebody who has committed murder, regardless of whether or not they are a queen. And so Rose was put to death. The princes were left without a mother and the king without a wife. A great sadness hung over that city from that day on. And if you follow me back along the banks of the River Benori, well, who knows what other stories it may hold.
Oh, that was excellent. Thank you, Dawn. Two sisters. Two sisters would walk by the stream. Together each day they would dream, so happy with life, so it seemed. They never thought something could change their routine. Then on one sunny day, a young man came along. He was handsome and strong, so it couldn't be wrong. He smiled at the younger girl, pretty and fair. The older girl laughed, as if she didn't care.
Go on, don't be silly. Go on and take his hand. I'm a little bit older, and I understand. The life that we shared, it was not going to last. Leave those memories all in the past. Go on, it is over, the time that we had. It's time to be happy, so please don't feel bad. Life is too short to be troubled and sad. All I want is for you to be glad.
Two sisters went walking alone by that stream. The older was jealous, the younger serene, and taking the fair maiden's hand by surprise, she held on to her sister with tears in her eyes.
I can't let you have him. He's mine. He'll be mine. If you're gone forever, he'll be by my side. You fell in the water. I'll cry when you die, and then he will make me his bride. His bride. Go on, don't be silly. Hey boy, take my hand. You're a little bit older. You should understand. Resting in peace, she is lifeless and cold. My sister, she'll never grow old. Go on, it is over, and please don't feel bad. It's time to be happy. Enjoy what you have. Life spent with me is a joy to be had. All I want is for you to be glad.
A woman beautiful and mean, with eyes the shade of evil green, would take her sister's only dream, ignoring all her pleas. She pushed her sister in the stream, and no one heard her dying scream, 'cause this is what she wants to be. It's in her destiny. One sister would walk by the stream on her own. She could never be happy with the younger one gone. She could hear the girl's voice on the wind. It would moan across the vales and the valleys of home. And her thoughts, they would wander to the times far away. Good memories lost to that dark, bitter day. No more would they sing, and no more would they play. And she longed for her sister to say,
Go on, don't be silly. Go on, take his hand. I'm a little bit younger, but I understand. The life that we shared is worth more than the bad. As sisters, our time, it was grand. Go on, it is over. It's time to forgive. It's time to be happy. I want you to live. Life is too short to be troubled and sad. All I want is for you to be glad.
Pushed in the street, she pushed her sister into the street, and no one heard her dying scream, and no one heard her. Two sisters would walk by the stream. Together each day they would dream. So happy with life, so it seemed. They never thought something could change their routine. And on one sunny day, a young man came along. He was handsome and strong, so it couldn't be wrong. He smiled at the younger girl, pretty and fair. The older girl laughed as if she didn't care. Go on, don't be silly. Go on, take his hand. I'm a little bit older, and I understand. The life that we shared, it was not going to last. Leave those memories all in the past. Go on, it is over. The time that we shared, it's time to be happy. So please don't feel bad. Life is too short to be troubled and sad. All I want is for you to be glad. Two sisters went walking alone by that street. The older was jealous, the younger serene. Taking the fair maiden's hand by surprise, she held on to her sister, tears in her eyes. I can't let you have him, he's mine, he'll be mine. If you're gone forever, he'll be by my side. He fell in the water, cry when you die, and then he will make me his bride, his bride. Go on, don't be silly. Hey boy, take my hand. You're a little bit older, you should understand. Resting in peace, she is lifeless and cold. My sister, she'll never grow old. Go on, it is over, and please don't feel bad. It's time to be happy. She pushed her sister in the stream. No one heard her dying screams, 'cause this is what she wants to be. It's in her destiny. One sister would walk by the stream on her own. She could never be happy with the younger one gone. She could hear the girl's voice on the wind it would moan. Was the vales and the valleys of home, and her thoughts they would wander to the times far away. Her memories lost to that dark bitter day. No more would they sing, no more would they play. She longed for her sister to say, "Go on, don't be silly, go on, take his hand. I'm a little bit younger, but I understand. The life that we shared is worth more than the bad. As sisters, our time it was grand. Go on, it is over, it's time to forgive. It's time to be happy, I want you to live. Life is too short to be troubled and sad. All I want is for you to be glad." Go on, don't be street. She pushed her sister into the street, and no one heard her die. We shared is worth more than that, and no one heard it was grand. Go on in the street. She pushed her sister into the street, and no one heard. And life is too short to be troubled and sad. Her die so strange to be glad. Pushed in the street, she pushed her sister into the street, and no one heard her dying scream. And no one heard her.
Next week, The Beautiful Witch.
She was young and she was beautiful, and her hair it shone like the sun, and the women provoked by her beauty, they were hateful, and hearts they had known. She didn't have a witch's hand. She didn't
Folk-a-Dilly Tales is a Zingaro Blue production. It was written, produced and edited by Mario and Lesley Price. Mixed by Frank Erlenkämper. The poems, lyrics and songs are also written by Mario and Lesley Price. My name is John Hales and I've been your host. Our storyteller this week was Dawn Nelson. The poem was read by Lesley Price and John Hales. The contents of this podcast are based on the book Folk Stories, Legends and Poems by Mario and Lesley Price, and are available as a book and an e-book from Amazon under the name Folk Stories, Legends and Poems. The music can be found under that same name and as volumes 1 and 2 streaming on all major platforms. Today's background music was supplied by Scott Buckley. You can find the link to these compositions in the comments below. Be sure to check out our music videos that tell some of our stories on YouTube. For more information about Zingaro Blue, visit our website at www.zingaro.com. zingaroblue.co.uk or find additional links in the comments section. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please hit the follow button so that you can listen to the next episode of Folk-a-Dilly Tales. Thanks for listening.